Perfect. So we are recording. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Like I said, this is my 10th time giving this exact presentation. This online version of the presentation was really creating an extra opportunity for anyone that maybe couldn't make it to their presentations that were scheduled within their respective areas. So for we had 8 presentations throughout the Cariboo Chilcotin Coast region, and that was me going to various different communities in the region. And we had our marketing committee representatives that invited all of our MRDT eligible stakeholders to come see and talk about everything that we've done with this first year of MRDT funds and ask questions and do exactly what we're doing right now, have an opportunity for dialogue and for us to really share what we've learned and the successes that we've seen from this past year. So I also gave this exact same presentation at our annual general meeting and tourism summit, which was November 1st to 3rd. For anyone attending that, this is pretty much the same presentation. But like I said too, the recording will be uploaded to the industry.land without limits site and will live on there for future reference. So for a bit of an introduction to me, my name is Sydney Redpath-Power. I am the Marketing Director and Executive Secretary of the Cariboo Chilcotin Coast Tourism Marketing Association, just to make your lives more complicated with another acronym. I have been in my role now since the end of April, living in Williams Lake and working out of our office here, and have been doing this presentation since we started in September, I believe the very first one was. And yeah, my 10th time giving this presentation, and I'm really excited to be able to have an opportunity not only to meet and talk to more of our stakeholders, but to get feedback, because I'm on the ground floor of, executing the marketing and liaising with our marketing team and our marketing committee, and making sure that what we're delivering is really representative of our region and your businesses. So for a bit of an agenda, I'm going to talk about the marketing committee, the people that sit on our committee and make decisions about how MRDT is going to be budgeted, spent, what creative initiatives and branding we pursue. Talk about strategy formulation and opportunities, which is all pulled from our 5-year strategic plan that we submitted with our application for getting MRDT within the region. So that's really kind of, jumping back a year ago when we were taking inventory of where we were and the challenges and opportunities ahead. A year in review is everything that we've done marketing-wise within this past year. The year ahead is some of the really exciting things I can share with you guys right now on things that we have planned for year 2020 and 21. Some of it, we still have budget decisions that are going to be made December 5th, so after this presentation. But then when those are made, we can let you know about those as well. And like I said, I have about an hour allocated for question and answer, whatever you guys wanted to talk about. So the marketing committee, our marketing committee are all tourism industry stakeholders that live within your representative areas. And I have a slide just after this one that breaks down what is Area A, what is Area B. But these are the people and the faces that are actually making those decisions on how MRDT is allocated, how we're branding our region, and what priorities we have for every year, and especially within these first 5 years as well. So also sitting on our marketing committee is our CEO of the Cariboo Chilcotin Coast Tourism Association, Amy Thacker. We also have our board of directors liaison, who is James Douglas of Historic Town and Park. If you're curious on what is Area A, what is Area B, this map right here, and I will see if I can use the fancy little drawing function. I should be able to. So this map right here, you can see some of the colored lines that go around different parts of the region. This map breaks down the representative areas for those people that you saw in the previous slide. So we have the entirety of the Central Coast and the Central Coast communities, which is Area I, that's Jamie Kennedy. The Chilcotin is split above and below Highway 20 for Area H and Area G. We have Area E, which goes all the way up just before Prince George to Hickson, down to Williams Lake, and then over to Wells Grey Provincial Park. And then we go all the way down with the other areas, splitting between Highway 24, above and below, and then we go all the way down to just before Pemberton. So if anyone is familiar with regional district boundaries, I know whenever I've shown the slide, it can be very, very confusing because regional districts have their own respective area A, B, and C's. And when we were drawing these areas, we, used different boundary areas that are used in various other levels of government, but we really drew them for what made sense geographically for our region for representation as well. Erase all that. So these next couple slides are jumping back a year ago, before MRDT was implemented, and everything we submitted in the application for our 5-year strategic plan, what we wanted to do with these first 5 years of having MRDT within the region. So we obviously had to take an inventory of what challenges we faced marketing tourism within the region. One, and I've said this in every presentation, that even within our own province, we have a very low level of familiarity with people in BC knowing where Cariboo Chilcotin Coast is. And by association, a low amount of favorability when people are thinking about where they want to travel. This graphic right here was taken from some Destination BC market research included in our 5-year strategic plan. And what it did is it asked people within our top markets for BC tourism. So obviously areas within British Columbia, but also Alberta and part of the States. The part right here is the summary of this market research. And as you can see right here, to that first challenge of having a low level of familiarity, when they asked people how familiar they were with Barkerville, with Williams Lake and Quesnel, Bella Coola Valley, or other areas in the Triple C, we had a low level. Sorry? Oh, if that was a question, feel free to ask it again. You can see that we have a low level of familiarity percentage-wise with people that were very familiar with these areas. We have a relatively low level percentage for people that are somewhat familiar with these areas. And then the difference being that when they asked people, they didn't know what these areas were. So we can look at that and a year ago say that, okay, all of the marketing we are doing, we really, really have to focus on building, just getting people to know about where we are within British Columbia. These two graphics right here speak to the second and third challenges that we, building familiarity and favorability, we had limited funds to be able to actually do that in the first place and take advantage of growth opportunities. And by association, being less competitive than other BC tourism regions that have had significantly more funds and resources for a lot longer than our region. So if you look at these two graphics right here, this graphic right here, figure 1, all of this once again taken from Destination BC market research and included in our 5-year strategic plan. You can see the other regions in 2012 that were these were their estimated collections for MRDT. So Vancouver Coast and Mountains, $17 million. The lowest, Northern BC at $900,000. The only reason why Cariboo Chilcotin Coast is actually on here is because that was just the District of Wells that was collecting back in 2012. So up until May of 2018, our region was not collecting and utilizing MRDT for marketing compared to other regions that have been doing it for a lot longer of a time. If you look at, the provincial level, what we got from Destination BC in 2013-2014, you can see all of the other regions in British Columbia getting significantly more funding, the lowest of which being 1.465, I think, 1.415 million. And then Cariboo Chilcotin Coast receiving just over $760,000 at the provincial level of tourism. So on both fronts, we were completely reliant on provincial funding, but all in, as far as the money that we had to market our region, grow that familiarity and grow that favorability and grow tourism within the region, we had less resources and funds to be able to do so. So the next 4 slides are when we were taking inventory of the 5 years ahead, we identified about 14 different priorities that we wanted to pursue throughout these first 5 years. So we wanted to do everything from investing in improved third-party rights usage media. So that's video and still imagery that our partners are able to use, keeping in line with the nature of the traveler nowadays, how they're planning their trips and getting inspired. It's very visual based. To delivering targeted marketing campaigns to drive room occupancy and rates. That's really getting strategic about who we're actually marketing to. We're marketing directly to your customers, and you need money to be able to do so. 2, remarkable experiences, supporting quality visitor experiences, developing off-highway signage strategy, tourism management, where we are engaging with stakeholders like we're doing right now, implementing research performance monitoring so that we're able to benchmark how we're doing year over year. And then destination and industry development, where we're supporting development of tourism assets and supporting development of tourism industry knowledge and business effectiveness. I'll take a little pause right here because I can see some other people joined us. I can see Peggy. Perfect. You're getting this presentation twice, Peggy. And France as well. Perfect. I'll say if you're joining this presentation a little bit late, it is being recorded. If you're having difficulty with your microphone and you want to ask a question at all, there's a chat function at the very bottom. If you click the little arrow to the left of it and collapse it open, feel free to ask me a question at any point if you have something you'd like to talk about. So the reason why I just went over those 4 slides and kind of skimmed over them is because them being included in what we wanted to do with this first 5 years, as we get into the next part of the presentation, which is a year in review, so everything that we've done with this past year of marketing, I list off which of the priorities we have touched on within this first year. So, for example, market research that I'm about to talk about, which we did in this past year, applies to the 12th priority of implementing research performance monitoring and the 14th of supporting development of tourism industry knowledge. So as part of benchmarking where we were going into this first year of having dedicated resources and funds to be able to tackle those challenges I talked about a couple slides ago, we commissioned a report from Destination Think, which is an international tourism marketing agency, to calculate our tourism sentiment index. And essentially what that is they looked at all of the 2017 online activity, so all of the people that were talking about tourism in Cariboo Chilcotin Coast on the internet in 2017, and assessed how much of it was positive, how much of it was negative. Whoops, sorry, my circle there got distracted. The difference being neutral to assign us a score of 44. I'm doing this on my mouse pad right now and not an actual mouse, so please excuse my awful, awful drawing. And this gets more meaningful when we're compared to other tourism destinations around the world that are geographically or product similar to us. So you can see these other tourism destinations around the world, which vary from, Australia, Colorado to northern BC and West Coast, and then Cariboo Chilcotin Coast down at the bottom here. They compared us to these other destinations in terms of volume. So we had, 30,000 pieces of online activity in 2017, people talking about us, compared to, at the greater end of this, over 200,000 people talking about the other regions. And, taking this a step further is where we actually get to applying this score and how we stack up against to the rest of the destinations. This theoretically, we could have 30,000 people talking about us, and if they're all 100% talking about us positively, then we have a score of 100 versus 44. If you have 200,000 people talking about you, but they're all talking about you negatively, you have a score of minus 100. But when we look at where Cariboo Chilcotin Coast stacked up against these other destinations around the world in terms of this score, so the people that were talking about them positive versus the people talking about them negatively, the higher end of that was 59, the lower end was 43, and then we're right here at a score of 44. So this was especially important, especially going into this first year, because we wanted to be able to see what we were going into, how people, we knew how people, how much people knew about us, but we wanted to see how they were talking about us online and what we can do to take advantage of all the marketing that we're now doing to get, one, more people talking about us online, sharing us with their family and friends, and also two, doing it positively. So from this report as well, we had some key takeaways. We can look at, like I said, if we have 30,000 people talking about us, but they're all talking about us positively, that's a good thing versus having 200,000 people talking about us and all of them talking about us negatively. But by doing the marketing that we're doing and getting more people to talk about us, period, we're creating an opportunity for people to talk about us positively. We're able to also look at different activities or different sectors of tourism within our region. And for example, snowboard and ski from this report had a low level of people talking about them, but a lot of it was really, really positive. So we're able to look at that and say, well, there's an opportunity here. This part, this little graphic right down here, is the breakdown that the report did for sectors of tourism within the region. So amenities and entertainment, food and culinary, culture and history, etc. And as you can see, we're pretty on par with the other destinations that we were compared against, with the exception of food and culinary. We were a greater than 10-point gap behind those other destinations we were compared to. Another thing that we took away from this report was the value of tourism within Cariboo Chilcotin Coast. They did this exact same methodology with Cariboo Chilcotin Coast as a place to live. So they looked at all the 2017 online activity as far as politics, real estate, everything outside of tourism, and that score was a score of 24. So the score of 24 is Cariboo Chilcotin Coast as a place to live versus a score of 44 for tourism within our region. Really, really speaks to the value that our tourism industry brings to our area. So the Strike Gold campaign, a lot of you have probably seen this at one point or another. At the beginning of this year, when we were thinking about, okay, Cariboo Chilcotin Coast, what do we want our first big branding campaign to be? What do we want people to know us for when we're marketing to a larger audience? And because we didn't start marketing until actually November 1st of 2018 was when we started to get funds in and implement our strategy, we were starting the shoulder season, right? We weren't starting at the beginning of summer, which is the busy season for our region. But because we wanted to hit the ground running, since we were starting the shoulder season, our first Strike Gold campaign was had the objective of raising destination awareness of the shoulder season offerings in the Triple C. And we wanted to do that and inspire people to actually go through and book and generate qualified leads to our businesses that were open during that time, and then taking bookings in the spring. So we targeted all parts of this campaign to other parts of British Columbia, Washington, the Western United States, and Alaska. And the messaging around this campaign was to discover the authentic BC frontier, a land framed by golden hills and coastal mountains, sheltering vast wildlife from urban development, follow in the footsteps of past explorers to seek your own connection with nature. And the incentive that we pushed to inspire people to go on landwithoutlimits.com, see what deals they can get with stakeholders, just to get them to go on there and see what they can do and visit here, is we had a number of stakeholders participate in a buy 2 nights and get the third night for free. And we had them run that through their businesses from until April 31st, 2019. And then we transitioned to other special offers throughout the rest of the year. So once the buy 2 nights, get the third one for free concluded, we offered it to our stakeholders that were listed on our website. If they wanted to do a 10% off or a free upgrade to their listings that they were running through their business, they could also keep that on our site. Parts of this campaign, we ran Strike Golds through print ads, social media ads, Google display ads, which is just when you're on a website and an advertisement pops up along the side. We ran commercials on global TV for the winter and spring. That buy 2 nights, get the third one for free went from November 1st, 2018 until April of this year. Our TV campaign went from January this year to April. For spring, summer, and fall, we had print and digital campaign, which I'll actually talk about later on in this presentation, from May till June. And then wrapping up, this big strike gold messaging ended roughly on November 1st as we're transitioning into another branded campaign, which I talk about at the very end, which is the year ahead. But looking back on this past year, these are the successes that we can share. From the entire campaign, we had 77.1 million impressions, which is the amount of times all of our marketing were loaded up onto people's screens. The one that we're especially the most proud of is 28,500 stakeholder referrals, which is 28,500 times that travelers were clicking on your websites, your phone numbers, your email addresses, trying to find out more information from you with the intention to book. 2.74 million Facebook engagements. That's comments, likes, shares, 235,800 website sessions. That's people logging on to landwithoutlimits.com and figuring out where they can travel and what they can do here. 13,000 direct and organic search, people looking for our region. Just under 7 million television impressions and 2.8 million video views, people engaging with our visual content. So for this past year, and especially with this campaign, these numbers, for comparison, we obviously don't know what other regions put up because they don't want to share that with us, obviously. But on a provincial level, these numbers are really, really fantastic and outstanding, and we've heard it from not only the regional level, but the provincial level too, Destination BC. A lot of what we've been able to deliver is the engagement rates and the conversions, people actually doing what we're asking them to do and engaging with us online is even above the provincial standard. So we can see that in this first year and the money that we put behind this, travelers are really, really responding and engaging with it. These are some examples of display ads that we ran. So Google Display Network, like I talked about, when you're on a website and an advertisement comes up. The full title of the campaign was actually Strike Gold, Strike Off, Strike Wonder, so tying into the 3 regions of Cariboo Chilcotin Coast. These are our top performing display ads. You can see that the first one right here, BC Roads Less Traveled, was actually a written content piece that inspired people to get on the road and road trip through the region. And that had just over 8 million impressions and just under 30,000 clicks on it. The other top display ads, and keeping in mind that these are just our top performing ones, we ran a lot more display ads throughout the past year. But the other ones that were really popular were ones that were incentivizing spring and summer specials, Top Trips for Families was another written content piece that did really well. These are our top performing Facebook advertisements that we ran. Once again, you can see the Top Trips for Adventurous Families was another written content piece that did really well. Just over 500,000 impressions and just over 6,400 clicks on the actual story. And then the other top performing Facebook ads that did very well, we're all just talking about inspirational, getting people to engage with our website and learn more about what they can do and where they can stay here.
I just have a quick question.
Yeah, for sure. That's Jessica, right?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I'm just wondering how best, like as properties, can we get involved in that? Like in terms of sending you content, is it better for you to like reach out to us asking, hey, if anyone has anything interesting to share, then send it our way? Or would you like us to update you if we feel we have something worthy of putting out there kind of thing? Or what works best?
It's definitely both. So our team is really good about engaging with our stakeholders. Like when I first started back in April, I called all the stakeholders that were participating in the Strike Gold campaign about 3 different times as my introduction to all of your businesses. We do periodic calling, especially with the website and updating the special offers page. And then also getting businesses to actually fill out their listing, because all of the businesses that are on landwithoutlimits.com, that's all information that has been populated by the actual business owners. So if you subscribe to the stakeholder newsletter, we're always asking businesses to go through and complete that. It really only takes 2 minutes, but it's really, really good because you're able to tell us how you want to be marketed. You're able to put your information on there for free. And our social media person, Johnny, as far as posting on Facebook and Instagram and him getting new content to put online, he is always begging our stakeholders for more content. And if you ever have new content or if you have something exciting happening, call our office, or you can always email them directly to Johnny if you say that, hey, I have this awesome batch of new photos that I think would be really great to put out on your Facebook. His email address is just social, so SOCIAL at landwithoutlimits.com.
Okay, perfect. I'm just going to send that to you. Actually, could I email you afterwards and ask for that just so that I don't mess it up?
Absolutely. No, for sure. I'm happy to do a follow-up with everyone on this call as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Okay, so these are examples of the native ads that we ran. So native ads are when you're reading a story online and the advertisements are kind of sneakily disguised to look like they fit within whatever you're reading. These are some examples of the visuals we ran there. Our BC Global TV, so we actually ran 2 different campaigns with BC Global, the commercials we ran on their networks. For the Strike Gold campaign, we ran a total of 221 TV ads, 163 of which we actually purchased, and the difference were given to us because our advertisements were doing so well. And those ran against shows like NCIS, Big Brother, Survivor, so shows that had a very, very high viewership. We ran a mix of 15-second, 30-second, and L frames. So you can see the Strike Gold advertisement here and this kind of L shape that it creates. We ran that from January 7th until April 21st, and we had just over 2 million television impressions. Our Road Tripping with Kaltire campaign that we also ran on the Global TV networks ran for 8 weeks in July and August and had just under 5 million impressions. For a total of all the TV advertisements that we've done this year, just under 7 million times that Cariboo Chilcotin Coast was running on people's television screens. So really, really tackling that challenge of building familiarity within the traveler of what the Cariboo Chilcotin Coast is and where you can find us. Written content. So us asking people to come back to landwithoutlimits.com, we have to give them something to engage with, something to inspire them. So at the beginning of this year, our marketing team planned out just about 21 different pieces and stories that we wanted to write to inspire people. And all of them, if you're interested in going back, are on landwithoutlimits.com right now under our stories. So all the ones that are highlighted in green, right here are ones that have already been written and are on the website right now. And then the ones in black are ones that we're just finishing up with the rest of the year. You can see it's all winter themed content. All of these stories are meant to complement and fit in with the rest of what we're doing with the Strike Gold campaign by focusing on some passions language that we've been using. So at the beginning of the year, across the whole campaign, we were really, really talking about camping, fishing, road tripping. And you can see that, can I go back? And you can see that the first few stories that we were writing were camping with no reservations, fishing Highway 24, road tripping BC's roads less traveled, BC top trips for adventurous families. So aligning that with the different passions focus that we had going with the rest of the campaign. And then you can see we're finishing up this end of the year with a focus on mountain biking, hunting, Indigenous experiences, and the stories that we've written, aside from winter content coming up, is Call of the Wild, which is a huge focus on outdoor activity, Indigenous experiences, and then some more adventure and outdoor content later on for the winter. So we took 3 of those 20 stories and elevated them a little bit higher. So BC top trips for adventurous families, camping with no reservations, and road tripping BC's roads less traveled, all road tripping themed articles that highlighted some of our most iconic routes within the region. We published them in 21 different Black Press publications, which had both print and online versions. And obviously, they can't tell us the average time people spent reading their newspaper version of these stories, but they can tell us that people spent an average of 2 minutes and 32 seconds reading these articles, that we had 935 comments, shares, likes, that we had 164 people that were sharing these stories with their friends and families because they liked them so much. So at the same time, the CalTire campaign that I talked about in the BC Global segment, and we have an always travel component here, which also has they have an office out of Williams Lake. Us trying to inspire people to road trip throughout the region is really, really great, because we have such iconic routes where people can do, we don't just want people to go to one part of the region. We want them to go all around to different destinations. So we want them to do, if they're doing the Great Bear Rainforest, we want them to do the circle route where they're going, to Bella Coola and the coastal communities, and then they're continuing on through Highway 20, going to Williams Lake, and then going back down and back to the island and doing a big route with the ferries. Or they're doing the entirety of the Gold Rush Trail, which goes right through the Cariboo and out to likely Horsefly. Or they're doing the entirety of Highway 20, the Chilcotin Highway, where they're going from Bella Coola to Williams Lake, or they're doing the Fishing Highway 24 circle route. Really, really incentivizing people to actually go on road trips. And obviously a good strategic partner for that type of campaign is CalTire, because they fix tires when you're on the road and something happens. So we executed this campaign with them by developing a print brochure with these 4 iconic routes that if you go into any of the CalTire locations within the Cariboo Chilcotin coast, our brochure is stacked in their racks. And different visitor centers throughout the region. We ran our commercial not only on BC Global, but also in the CalTire locations as well. So while you're sitting there waiting for your tires to get changed, there's a screen that plays with all their advertisements. Our commercial ran on there. We had those 3 road trip themed articles that we promoted at the same time. And then we also had a dedicated landing page, which is the BC Road Trips, bcroadtrips.com, that had a road trip themed contest. So people could enter in to win a road trip themed gift basket and then a 2-night stay at Tyax Lodge and Heli Skiing. This had a really nice coordination that we did with the Always Travel office here out of Williams Lake, us inspiring people to road trip and to get out and explore our region really, really worked nicely, because we're able to actually hand it off to a local business that books those trips for people. So Always Travel has been selling 4 different packages within our region already, going to Bella Bella, Bella Coola, Anaheim Lake, and then Williams Lake. And our team went in there, designed this landing page for them, and then cross-promoted that on our landwithoutlimits.com, so that when we were driving people there from all this content that we were doing with the Road Tripping with CalTire campaign, we were able to drive it home further and say, here's a local business that's actually able to book these types of trips for you. So one of the huge, huge benefits of having MRDT within our region is that utilizing provincial tourism funding, so the funding that we get from Destination BC, we are limited to marketing only to our short haul markets. So that's marketing to within British Columbia, Alberta, and parts of the United States. With MRDT, we can market wherever in the world we want to market. And of course, as all of you will know, having businesses here and having traveled around Cariboo Chilcotin coast, one of our really big markets is Germany. So our marketing committee looked at this opportunity at having MRDT funds and having the chance to be able to say, okay, we're able to market internationally now. Where do we want to go? Germany is one of our big markets. Let's test it out. Let's see what type of engagement we get. And the campaign didn't even run for that long, from March 12th until April 30th, but we got amazing, amazing engagement. And all we asked people to do was to watch our video, to download our travel guide, and to sign up for our consumer e-newsletter. And within that short amount of time, we had just over 1.4 million impressions. 73,000 video views, just about 100 travel guide downloads, and 400 e-newsletter subscriptions, people signing up to the consumer e-newsletter. And to put all of this into context, when Destination BC does this type of campaign, the amount of times that people actually download a guide or watch the full video or sign up for an e-newsletter is about 3%. For us, we had just under 30% of people that were actually going through and doing what we were asking them to. So the marketing committee looked at that and said, wow, we have such a high level of engagement, such a high level of people consuming and being inspired by our content, that the marketing committee has decided to do another German campaign from December until March of next year. And, from a stakeholder side of that as well, if you find within your own businesses that, I was giving this presentation in 100 Mile, and one of our stakeholders said, I've been getting a lot of British travelers this year. Can we market to Britain? And we can with MRDT funds. If you, have a market that you want to explore or think that we should be exploring, or a trend that you're noticing within your business, let your marketing committee representative know, because then they take that conversation to the marketing committee table. And when we're deciding where we want to market, where we want to spend that money, they're your representation on marketing where you want to be marketing your business to. Photo and video content trips. This is investing in high quality visual content that travelers are being inspired with and consuming nowadays. It's really, really hard now to be able to inspire and capture people with a really, really long text post. People are being captivated and inspired by really, really beautiful imagery. And so it's important that we were able to invest in this. So throughout the past year, our team has done 5 different content trips. We'll have another couple this winter, but we did a winter shoot in the Cariboo and Chilcotin. We did our road tripping with Cal Tire campaign, South Gold Rush Trail and Bridge River Valley, likely Cariboo Mountains and Williams Lake. And then I took a photographer and videographer out to the Chilcotin and Bella Coola Valley for 3 days in September. Digital literacy. So in August of 2018, our team took an inventory of all the tourism-related businesses within our region, and that is businesses from stores to tourist attractions, restaurants, accommodations, and heritage sites, and assessed which of them had a Facebook, which of them had an Instagram, which of them had a Twitter, and which of them, if they had a website, was optimized to be viewable on mobile, so on your phones. And we did find that, the majority of businesses had a Facebook account. The majority did not have an Instagram. The majority did not have a Twitter. But our biggest takeaway from this is that you can think of how people are researching where they want to travel and how much time they're spending online. A majority of that is spent on phones now versus a desktop computer. So for businesses within our region that had a website, but the vast, vast majority of which that did not have a website that was optimized for mobile, was our biggest takeaway. And Johnny, our social media person, in his presentation at the AGM, he shared some really, telling statistics with us, where one of the example, and I've used it in this presentation since, is that 43% of people engaging with your website, if your website is not optimized for mobile, if your website is not optimized for, sorry about that, I'm in one of my coworkers' offices. If your website is not optimized for mobile, so if I draw it up on my phone and it's completely distorted and really difficult to navigate because it's only for a desktop, 43% of people will assume that you don't care about them and you don't care about the business that they can give you, and they'll just click off. They make really, really huge assumptions about the type of business that you have. They get frustrated. And for people that spend money on a website, for even hosting a website on a month-to-month basis, you really want to get some return on your investment for those costs. So it's really important to have something that's actually optimized to be viewable on your phones. So what we did is we secured some provincial grant funding, and of the 73 businesses from this digital literacy assessment that did not have a website that was optimized for mobile, we had enough grant funding to be able to give 20 businesses a brand new website. And these websites are clean, straightforward, highlight visual content, and have your basic information on there. And through the provincial grant funding, we cover the cost of the website actually being built. And then if you want to also add e-commerce, have people purchasing things through your website, you just pay for that through your business, which is not a lot. It's an extra $150, I think. And then you pay for your hosting fee month to month. But we cover the cost, the biggest cost, which is actually building that website. So, and we're still in the process of finding stakeholders that can go through the pre-screening questionnaire and go through the process of having that website built for them, because it does take some time with a website developer just so that he has everything that he needs to be able to build that for you. If you are at all interested, or if you know of someone, please reach out to me and let me know. Because we're always looking for stakeholders that are really enthusiastic about that project. Some other activities that fall under the umbrella of digital literacy is that Google My Business. So when you Google your business and that kind of official looking box comes up on the right hand side, and it has your hours, your website, where you're located, your phone number. If you don't claim that listing as a business, I, as a total stranger, can go in there, change your phone number, change your website, and say you're closed 365 days of the year. Unless you actually claim it and own it, anyone can change that information. Versus when you claim it and own it, I, as a stranger, can only suggest an edit, which is then approved by you. So one of the challenges, though, in that within our region is that Google, for them to be able to verify that you are who you say you are, when you say, yes, I want to claim my listing, I want to own that information, they would send a postcard, and they don't send a postcard to PO boxes. It has to go to your physical address. And a lot of our stakeholders that live a bit more remotely, they only have PO boxes. Or another way that Google would do it is phoning you with a verification code. Well, for our stakeholders that don't have service, they can't do that either. So our office is certified to verify businesses, which means that I can go to your business, sit there with my little tablet, and it takes 2 seconds for me to say, yeah, Jessica is who she says she is. I'm at her business right now, and it's done for you. You don't have to go through that hassle or deal with those roadblocks. In addition to verifying Google My Business listings, our office also does a 360-degree photo service, which means that while I'm there with my little tablet, I also have my little camera as well. And I can take a 360-degree photos of your business and upload them for you to your listing. And Google really, really likes those because they're able to see, they're able to get a better understanding of what you offer. HP, I just saw your message saying, hello, Amy. I know it says I'm Amy on here. I'm using her login for GoToMeeting, but it is Sydney. Amy said, I'm sure Amy would say hello regardless. Regional presence. So I shared that number at the beginning of the presentation, that 235,000 people logging on to landwithoutlimits.com and engaging with what they can do and where they can visit here. This graphic right here, these lines, these really, really tall blue lines, are all of the people that have been logging on throughout this past year. Versus this little line right here that hugs close to 0 is how many people were logging on to landwithoutlimits.com and getting inspired by content before we started doing this marketing. So same period last year versus the same period this year, you can see that out of all the marketing that we've been doing, it's been working because people have been going on to landwithoutlimits.com and figuring out what they can do here, what businesses operate here, and getting inspired. The idea being is that also when we go to when we go and look at the different regions around the world that are logging onto our website and getting inspired, our top being British Columbia, Washington, California, Oregon, and Kansas, oddly enough. You can see that comparing this same time period last year when we weren't doing all this marketing to this year when we're doing a lot of marketing, we have an increase of 16,000%. We have an increase of 10,000%. Really, really high percentage increases, with the idea being that as time goes on, those numbers are going to stabilize and become more and more meaningful. But it really, really is just proving the fact that what we're doing with all this marketing is working because people are engaging with our content online. The same thing, we can break it down a little bit further into the top cities that are engaging with their website. So Vancouver, Surrey, Seattle, Abbotsford, and Burnaby. Once again, you see some really, really big percentage increases, 18,000%, 12,000%, 5,000%. Social media, this is Johnny, our social media person that I was talking about. He is really great about having a consistent weekly posting schedule on both Facebook and Instagram. We do put some money behind certain posts to drive them a little bit further. As well, we do coordinate with Destination BC so that they can pick up some of our postings as well. And like I said to you, Jessica, as well, if you guys ever have content that you want to be posted to our Facebook and Instagram, send them to Johnny, or please use our hashtag so that we can actually find them online. When Johnny is going in his back-end software and able to see who's using our hashtag, that's how he gets everything from the internet using hashtag CCC lives in one place so that he can repost it to our social media. So
awesome.
please use those use those hashtags when you're posting online because it helps us us find it.
Awesome.
Also, in the line of social media, Google is coming out with its own story format. So when you go on Facebook and Instagram, and there are those little story tabs at the top that you can click through, Google is doing the same thing where if you, they're slowly starting to launch it, but if you Google, British Columbia, stories similar to how they appear on Facebook and Instagram are going to come up at the top of your search. So those are being prioritized. And Destination BC wanted to be first to market and using that as a marketing platform. So our team built stories for that. And those stories are also going to live on website galleries that people can click through on hellobc.ca and our website too. This is just an example of one of the stories that we, two examples of the stories that we made. So experiencing the Gold Rush Trail, and then what it looks like on the swipe up function, Fawn Lake Resort, a description of what they can do there. And then an opportunity for them to book directly to it. Our consumer e-newsletter. So we just have over 900 people subscribing to receiving a monthly e-newsletter that highlights stories and activities in our region. And that number is growing as well. We've only published 5 newsletters to date. But the results we're seeing are really, really positive. A 36% open rate, which compared to when Destination BC does a newsletter, it's 22.7%. An average click rate, so people actually clicking on the content within it and opening up separate tabs, so to your businesses or to different articles, 2.82% versus Destination BC 2.4%. The average unsubscribe rate is 0.82 versus the industry benchmark is 0.176. This, if any of you subscribe to newsletters, I know I do, you get the first one in your inbox and it's not what you wanted and you unsubscribe, right? So we fully expect that as time goes on, that number is going to go down and stabilize. Our travel guide and map pad, my first 2 weeks on the job, 2.5 weeks on the job, I ventured around the region with my coworker Marika, who probably a lot of you have met, and we hand delivered copies of our 2019 travel guide. It was a really amazing crash course in all of your businesses and parts of the region that I had never actually been to before. But in 2019, we had 40,000 printed, 33,000 distributed. We do keep some of them for distribution at travel trade shows. We have had businesses that that have called us and requested more because they've given away all that we gave them back in April. And we're currently in the development of Travel Guide 2020. And the direction that we're steering in for Travel Guide 2020, and probably all of you are going to start to get calls from Marika soon asking if you'd like to advertise, is we look at publications like National Geographic or BC Magazine. And I'm sure everyone is familiar with these beautiful publications that are nice to look at, and you want to read the articles over and over, and people hang on to those for years, not just 1 year, years. They keep them on their coffee tables, they keep them in their vehicles so that they can go back to that publication over and over again, versus certain types of travel guides, which, you know, after a year, the information is outdated and people throw them out. So as a stakeholder that has, you know, a dedicated marketing budget every year, you get a lot more longevity and a lot more mileage out of your advertising dollars if we're producing something that's beautiful to look at and that has really great stories. And we're pushing even further into that for Travel Guide 2020. So we're writing great stories. We're making sure that it's beautiful to look at so that people are going to hold on to it year over year. So for Travel Guide 2020, when Marika is calling all of you and asking if you'd like to advertise, that's the type of publication that you can expect, that people are going to hold on to that with your advertisements in it for years to come, not just 1 year. Important on that too is that, you know, inspirational content aside, we're still really making sure that we're representing all of our communities and iconic activities that people can enjoy within our region. Partner marketing. So with MRDT funding, we're able to support organizations that have that develop tourism product within our region, and they do what they do very, very well. So we support Fishing Tourism BC, the Fishing Highway, BC Ferries, Big Coast Productions, which is actually has a project to market the Great Bear Rainforest, the Gold Rush Trail, and BC Farmers Markets. We support these organizations to develop various products within our region. Co-op funding programs. This one is of particular interest to, you know, individual stakeholders like yourselves that are tuning into this. We run a program out of our office that if you as a stakeholder really, really want to go to a consumer show, and event fees are expensive and it'd be really great to have some money to help you to go to that show and market your business, you can apply through our office for funding to allow you to do so. So information is available if you go to industry.landwithoutlimits.com/services, the link at the very bottom there. You scroll down to the very bottom, you can submit an application and receive up to 50% of your event fee covered by our office. Within the same program, we do something similar for festivals and events throughout our region. I used the South Cariboo Garlic Festival as an example. We supported them this year. That they want to do a radio campaign, or if they want to do television, or if they want, you know, to revamp their website, those various marketing initiatives can also be expensive, right? But as long as they're incentivizing people to come and stay overnight in communities, then we can also subsidize up to 50% of those marketing costs as well. So both of those different programs, if you go to industry.landwithoutlimits.com/services, it has more information and it has the guidelines, it has the applications. And if you have any questions at all, please ask me about it. So kind of getting towards the end of our presentation now, but for 2020-21, this is the year ahead part of the presentation. We submit our co-op application to Destination BC on November 30th. We have the rest of our 2020 and 21 budget finalized on December 5th when our marketing committee meets to finalize those decisions. I talked about how we're currently in the development of the 2020 travel guide and map pad that Marika is going to be calling you all about. We have year 2 of our German campaign that we're planning for December to March of next year. Especially new for 2020, we have our Untold Stories of the Cariboo Chilcotin Coast podcast that we're coming out with. We have a brand new landwithoutlimits.com website, and we have a new branding refresh to take us into the new year. So the podcast, Untold Stories of the Cariboo Chilcotin Coast, for any of you that listen to podcasts, podcasts have have been around for a very long time, but especially within the last, I'd say, 3 to 4 years, 5 years, they've been really, really widespread and utilized as a marketing tool. And within British Columbia, there's about 5 different organizations, including us, that are coming out with their own podcasts. So it's definitely becoming a trend within the industry, and we're jumping on using that as a marketing tool because it has a really, really engaged audience. So we put our host, Jason Ryle, who, if you've heard any of our TV commercials or any of our videos, he's the branded voice of the Cariboo Chilcotin Coast. We put him on the road to the last one that he went on is he did a ghost tour at the 108 Mile Heritage Site, and that's an episode. He also interviews people that have worked and lived and are passionate about our region and asks them, about who they are and why they love where they live and where they work. Those are the 2 different types of episodes that will live under the podcast. Our brand new website, for any of you that have been on landwithoutlimits.com recently, the website as it currently exists hasn't been overhauled since 2012. And the standard that a lot of tourism destinations have for their websites now is very, very visual focused, and a very, very modern format. And our website, since not being touched since 2012, was a little bit behind that standard. So within this first year and launching within the next couple of weeks is our brand new landwithoutlimits.com website, which really, really prioritizes beautiful, high quality imagery, engaging, straightforward design that people can click through and be inspired by. So it's compatible across all digital devices, desktop, laptop, phone, and tablet. This is an example of what the home screen would look like. So landwithoutlimits.com, this is what pops up. You can see that at the top, the navigation ribbon, places to go, things to do, our stories, plan your adventure, and special offers right here, where your special offers live for our stakeholders. The reason why this image is actually blurry is because when you load this up on a desktop, it's a video. So you have that video of those people galloping across an open field with mountains in the background. It's really, really captivating and beautiful, especially when people are finding out about our region for the first time. We also represent our 4 different areas of the region. So interestingly, we did some brand work at the beginning of the year, and Cariboo Chilcotin Coast has been our corporate brand for a very long time, right? And what we found as tourism within our region evolved is that coast didn't specify the Central Coast, and that we were having these brands that were developing their own name recognition. So people recognized what the Great Bear Rainforest was more than they recognized what the coast was. So when travelers are finding us online, we are representing our region as the Great Bear Rainforest. We are representing our region as the Chilcotin, as the Cariboo Gold Rush Trail, and as the Land of Hidden Waters, which is the Fishing Highway 24 area. And then all of your individual communities and businesses are grouped under those brands below. So these are just examples of what, when you go onto these respective pages, what the top looks like. And then you can see that little white bar down below where you would scroll down and then be able to find your individual communities and businesses. So the very tail end of our presentation, this is the brand refresh that we're looking towards the new year. Obviously, you're all familiar with Strike Gold at this point. I talked about at the beginning of the presentation, but taking a look at now what we want to brand Cariboo Chilcotin Coast as and be a little bit more creative with it is we had landwithoutlimits.com and Striking Gold in BC's Cariboo Chilcotin Coast, and what we're transitioning now to is Just Breathe in the Cariboo Chilcotin Coast, and transitioning Strike Gold to more of a secondary messaging, because that does have some weight with how consumers do know about us now. But we're kind of aligning ourselves with Destination BC's the British Columbia effect, where at the provincial level, they're really, really focusing on the transformative power of nature, and those types of moments where the visuals are someone's hand brushing against the trunk of a tree, or someone walking along a sandy shoreline. Just Breathe is getting consumers to picture themselves as that person standing on a frozen lake looking at the sunset, as that person, you know, cross-country skiing across a frozen lake, enjoying a cup of hot chocolate while looking out an open landscape at a cozy cabin, as those snowmobilers looking at that beautiful, beautiful sunset. Or as that fisherman. So the Just Breathe is really focusing on what our region is known for best, and what we are always sharing, and what all of you are the most proud of, is that we have these gorgeous, gorgeous open landscapes that are really the reason why people travel here. And we're getting consumers and travelers to picture themselves in those places, and tying into that that transformative power of nature, where they're just taking a second to breathe and enjoy where they are. And then you can see too in the secondary messaging, strike gold with spring getaway offers in BC's Land Without Limits, and winter offers, summer offers. Strike gold in BC's Land of Hidden Waters, or strike gold in the Great Bear Rainforest. So that is actually the end of the presentation. What time are we at? So we're at 11, so I'm pretty on track. If anyone listening has any questions, anything you'd like me to go back to, I'm more than happy to do so. Any questions?
Sydney, I'm not sure if I'm connected here because I'm listening in on the phone. It's France from Ruth Lake Lodge.
Oh, hi, how are you? Yeah, I can hear you.
I'm good. So I had a hard time logging on to the webinar piece, and I missed the first few slides. And there was, at the very beginning, I heard the audio on the different people representing the different regions. Mm-hmm. If you're able, would you be able to go back to that slide? Yes. Just so I can see who specifically is our representative for this area? Thank you.
Let's scroll back up here. I'm just going to make sure that you guys, okay, so it stopped there, but I'll just make sure to get that up. Screen. Okay, so these are the faces right here.
Okay, so it's
your guys.
I don't know if I fall under Area C or Area D.
I'm going to double check for you, because the map, some people, especially for Area C and D, it's this really fun overlap. So you guys would fall under. Okay. So you guys, if I go to, let me, so I think you would be, gotta zoom in. I think you guys are like right on the boundary line.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I see the line going through Forest Grove, Canham Lake.
So you guys would be a part of Area D. And so your marketing committee representative is Andrew Cuthbertson of the 108 Golf Resort.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I also do, if you go to industry.landwithoutlimits.com, and on the right hand, there's a navigation bar, and one of them is MRDT collection area meetings, and it was all the information about these meetings. It has the contact information of all of the area reps. So Andrew's email will be on there if you ever wanted to contact him. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions from people listening in?
It's France again. I did email you. You mentioned about, because I'm just in the process of doing a website revamp, and could really use some help, just kind of with our rebranding that we're trying to do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not sure who your contacts are for the project that you mentioned, like I know our current website is search engine optimized to, or not search engine optimized, but mobile device optimized. So I'm not sure where we fell in that category, but I know that it definitely needs quite a bit of work. And so I did just email you saying, if there's any contact people, anyone I can specifically contact, because
okay.
I'm definitely a bit out of my comfort zone when it comes to the redesigning.
For sure. Yeah. And I remember your email now. The website developer that we're working with for this specific project, the reason why we were kind of really looking at businesses that did not have a website at all or had a website that was not optimized for mobile is because the websites that he's creating are a really, simple, straightforward format. As far as, another recommendation for website developers, I will ask around to the rest of the office because obviously we work with our marketing agency that's designed our website. They're fantastic. Our social media guy, Johnny, actually gave a really good presentation at our AGM where he walked everyone in the room through what it looked like to build their own website with Wix.com. I will get him I'll go back to the original time you emailed me and I'll forward you to him and get him to send that presentation to you because he created this really beautiful website in front of us within, 10 minutes. He demoed it, but when he built it, it took him an hour to do. But he would also have some really great personal contacts that I know he'd forward on to you.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Cause I think I've reached out to a couple of people, but, it's just that my current website designers moved to Europe and so I prefer to work with someone a little closer to home.
How dare they,
right? So it's just, a couple of references would be fantastic.
For sure. I can do that.
And I actually emailed you during the presentation when you mentioned the website. So it'll be pretty new in your inbox.
Okay. I thought this was an old email and I was
No. Just I emailed you while you were presenting, you mentioned website and that reminded me and I just quickly sent you the email during that time.
Sounds good. Any other questions from anyone tuning in?
I don't have any for now, but I will definitely actually have to go to another call, but I'm definitely going to email you with some, or maybe I'll wait for your follow-up email as well. But I just want to say thank you so much. This is all so exciting. It sounds like this is gaining a lot of traction for the region. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing everything in the future.
Awesome. Yeah.
So thank you.
I'll have a closing remark here too before you go, Jessica. HP, I see your question. I'll answer it in a second. But yeah, and the whole point of doing these presentations, and we're going to do them every year so that you guys as individual stakeholders who are contributing to this pool of funding, we want you to feel heard and we want you to feel like you can contact the people that are on this screen right now with your ideas and your opinions and your concerns, and that they can take them to the table on your behalf and advocate for you because they're also business owners, right? And especially from our office as well, all of our new staff, our office has grown quite a bit within the last year, not just in marketing, but in destination development, in emergency preparedness for the region. That we are always huge advocates of if you have a question, we don't care what the question is, if you have a concern, call us or email us and someone will get back to you. So yeah. I'm really, really thankful that you guys tuned in. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Sydney.
Awesome. Okay, I'll answer these other few questions here. Thank you, Jessica, for tuning in. Have a good
rest of your day. Thank you. Yeah, have a wonderful day, everyone.
Okay, HP, I'm going to answer your question first. How can the map pads and other printed material be accessed? Two different interpretations of your question. So if you're interested in advertising in either of those, Mareike from our office, she's the German girl, is how people remember her by. She is starting doing the calling around to all the businesses. She's wanting to start to do that the beginning of next week. You can always email her. Her email would be easiest to do. You can always email me and I can just forward it to her. But her email is Mareike, so MAREIKE @landwithoutlimits.com. She's going to be handling all of the sales of the ad spots in those. As far as if you wanted to actually get physical copies of the map pad or the travel guide to give to travelers at your business, Mareike is the same person to contact. We do keep a reserve of both of those throughout the year. I think we're out of map pads because they went so fast this year. But travel guides, we do still have some. You just contact our office throughout the year and we'll send you more. We're happy to do that. Hi Country Inn, you're just asking to get the link for the Wix presentation as well. Yes, definitely. I will put you next to France to send, to put you into contact with Johnny. And High Country Inn, who are you from High Country Inn exactly? I don't even think I asked. Just so I know who to email. Tanya and Mike. Oh, yay, awesome. Okay, I will email you both. Perfect. Okay, does anyone else have any other questions? So it doesn't sound like it. So I just threw my contact information back up on the screen there. My email is sydney@landwithoutlimits.com. That's our office phone number there with my extension in case you ever wanted to leave me a voicemail if I'm not in. This presentation, when I actually condense it and I'm able to post it to the industry website, I'll send out a follow-up email to same format that I sent all of you the invitation to watch this presentation, just letting you know that it's on the website. Perfect. Okay. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a fantastic weekend ahead.
Thank you, Sydney. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.